we're so fired up. We're like, hey, where do we get baptized? Hey, in the back pool, let's do it. So my wife was a little nervous because she just got her hair done. Y'all know about y'all hair, all that stuff. But, the most important thing was the most important thing. So that's why we're here today, to keep the most important thing the most important thing. This is a great partnership and alignment for what we do already with Game Plan for Life and reaching people for Christ, that are not usually coming to church. But our whole goal is to get people back in church. And so we just want to be a tool for you guys, for your ministries, to be able to, hey, there are going to be people that are going to come to this event, as Pastor David said, that probably will never go to a church, but it's an easy invite to invite a guy and say, hey, you want to come to see a Jaguar game. And so for us to do this event, it made sense. We call it a little bit of an audible, but the main goal is still getting people the touchdown, which is to Christ. And more importantly, to follow up, because you guys know the people that you guys are inviting. We don't know the people that are coming. And of course, just to honor a young man who's here in the building, we had an opportunity to speak with one of the founding fathers of Promise Keepers, a Promise Keeper founder, and one of the fathers are here, and Pastor R.J. Washington. I used to go to the church when I was here in Raleigh, Washington. One of the Promise Keeper founders are here, right here in the building. If you would raise your hand right here, all the great work that y'all did over here, we appreciate that. My brother, Pastor Sean, thank you for bringing them. And so one of the things that they kind of shared with us, because, we want to know how we can do ministry better, Not trying to recreate the wheel. And the one thing that the Promise Keeper guys said was like, hey guys, the one thing that, we felt like that we were missing is building those relationships. A lot of people were coming to Christ, and it was an evangelistic event, which is the most important thing, but then we know how important the follow-up and the discipleship is in terms of following behind it. So just learning from guys like that, allowing us to sit down with guys. And so that's how the Game Plan for Life event was formed. And of course, Coach Coughlin, when I was with the Jaguars, told me when I was a free agent in 5 years after, going into my 5th year, he said, hey, you're going to be a Jaguar forever, which that was my goal, to be here and retire here, but I thank God that he had a bigger plan, right? Even though I wanted to be a Jaguar forever, and he said, you're not going anywhere at the end of the season. Well, I ended up going somewhere. At the end of the season, free agency came, and of course I was a little bit disappointed, but the old ball coach Steve Spurrier brought me to the Redskins there in the nation's capital, and then of course after Steve Spurrier stepped down, Coach Gibbs comes back out of retirement. The guys won 3 Super Bowls, already in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. It was like Elvis coming back in the building for us, right? Because we hadn't been winning, and we've been seeing these 3 Super Bowls right there in the front, and I always thought that I would win a Super Bowl. We came close here, and man, the hated Tennessee Titans can't stand them guys. I'm glad it's a Thursday night game against the Titans. That's one of the reasons I love doing this, but also having an opportunity in terms of Coach Gibbs, meeting him. He and I, we kind of bumped heads in the beginning, of course, because he's an old school coach. We, of course, had Steve Spurrier, got to know Spurrier. Spurrier would cancel practice if it rained. Hey, guys, we got to go cancel practice. It's raining. This is great, though. As a player, you want more practice canceled, the better. But, of course, Coach Gibbs comes in. The dude ain't never canceled a practice. And, of course, the old hogs and the guys that won 3 Super Bowls, they thought we were spoiled. And, guys like Bostic and all those guys saying, y'all in for a rude awakening. Coach Gibbs ain't never canceled a practice. And you guys going to see what it means to really get after it. And he wasn't lying. Here comes Coach. Dude ain't never canceled a practice. It was a monsoon outside. They're telling us, keep your dog inside, and training camp is so hot. We're out there practicing. And the one thing Coach would always say, this is Redskin weather. That was kind of his thing. It's Redskin weather. I don't care where we go into any place, it's Redskin weather. And of course, that was the case. But you know what? It built a toughness. I think he canceled 1 practice in his entire career, and we had a bad rainstorm outside, thunder and lightning. We're, of course, out there practicing in Redskin weather. And then, of course, lightning hits the field next to us. Boom! Guys run right into the facility. I think the linemen beat the DBs that day running in. And so, of course, we get in, and Coach is ticked off. It probably was the first practice he ever canceled. And of course, we had a guy on our team, comedian Fred Smoot, always was lighthearted. And of course, he's waiting for Coach to take off his stuff, and he's telling Coach, hey Coach, I guess God's trying to tell you that ain't Redskin weather, is it? But in saying all that, what we built on that team was a camaraderie like never before. And so, you know, I didn't win a Super Bowl, of course, but, you know, I wear this ring, you know, because I won a NASCAR championship. And it's a great conversation piece. When I meet people, a guy from the south side of Chicago, I ain't never been in no race. I've been here for 5 years. I never wanted to go to Daytona, you know, but here I am. I love NASCAR. From the south side of Chicago, people like, that's a championship ring. Yeah, it's a championship. It's NASCAR, though. And they look at me, you can imagine. Big black guy in NASCAR, they usually don't go. I'm just telling you, that's the elephant in the room now. And some people are bold enough to say that, and so, but it's great to kind of share, you know, the connection there in terms of NASCAR, in terms of how game plan is involved. We're based out of Charlotte, right inside the confines of Joe Gibbs Racing, about a 250,000 square foot place. 12 race teams, we have about 700 employees. Within the 700 employees, we have about 4 full-time chaplains. I only bring that up because Coach's heart and his passion is really ministry. We only race because we're a ministry that happens to race around the track on Sunday. So when we're winning on Sunday at a NASCAR track, it's all to be able to give back and to reach people for Christ, to do what we're doing here in game plan, of course, the 120 ministries that they support around the country. And so this year starting out was really a special year. If you didn't know, Coach Joe Gibbs' son passed early at 49 years young. JD was our president. I knew him before he got sick and had a degenerative brain disease. Kind of the same thing that guys deal with CTE, dementia, Alzheimer's, and so a horrible situation that he never got better in. And of course, JD passed, and Joe and Coach Gibbs was heartbroken. I mean, nobody's supposed to lose a son, of course. But throughout the whole situation, as he was leading up to the Daytona 500, Coach said, I was looking for a sign because his son had just passed prior, and of course, you have the biggest race in NASCAR, which is our Super Bowl, the Daytona 500, and they wanted to do a lap 11 memorial lap for J.D. Gibbs, who had passed prior. And that was lap 11, the entire stadium. It was a beautiful sight. All the drivers, Dale Jr. and all those guys on the broadcast honored J.D.'s life. 11 was really big because that was J.D.'s number growing up. All through high school football, when he started the race team, number 11 was a big part of the building foundation of our team. Of course, he discovered Denny Hamlin was one of our drivers who drives the 11 FedEx car. Denny's number growing up was number 11 as he actually started racing. And so there was a commonality there, but at the end of the day, the number 11 car won the Daytona 500. J.D. Gibbs died on 111. And so, more importantly than anything, I want to show the clip, but before we do, I want you to hear what Coach says at the end. Throughout all this, the brokenness and everything that he went through, he used a platform. Millions of people watching the Daytona 500. And like we all do, we love our sports. And how many people were impacted, that we're still getting impact back in one sporting event. And so if we can just cue the video just for 2 minutes.